Good afternoon to you today, to our next webinar. That's our first webinar this year, so happy new year to you as well. Today we are going to talk about typical administrator task, which can be done, or you can expect such a task while your iSCSI failover is running. And also we are going to show what to do if in case of the total disaster, when both iSCSI cluster nodes were powered down or powered off, how to get the cluster running back afterwards. So the points for today: we will show how to add the volume into the running cluster. We will show how to remove the volume from the running cluster, and how to move a volume between so-called resource pools. I don't have many volumes installed, but we will, just in case you will have plenty volumes, and then finally some of the volumes will be getting more load, then you can move to another resource pool. I will also show how to expand the volume size, one of the volumes, while the whole cluster is running. Then we will simulate the power outage, so power off, and then we can also show the software update, which is actually very easy and there is no problem with this. As usual, we have prepared the configuration chart. In our chart we are showing the chart from our how to resources, which is available on our website. You can go to our web under support and how to resources, and then you can download step-by-step presentations. Okay, here these both new are DSS v7 active passive and active failover cluster, step by step. Also under support and webcast videos you can watch already recorded webinars previously about this. Okay, I hope our webinar will be maybe in 1 week time, will be also on this website available for you. That's the setup, but in our case I will use a bit simpler setup, because we will just connect Windows to the cluster without multipath. So we will connect to both resource pools, but with one path only. This will give me more time, and then I can show more things faster. Okay, so I will switch to the console where my DSS servers are already up and running. Okay, I have started configuration. I will not show today how to configure, because we were showing this on other webinars. We will just try to show all these maintenance tasks. I will show you that the VMware server here, we have plenty virtual machines, but only four virtual machines are started. I will use this 00 and 01 for my presentation. Okay, and we have also Windows machine as a virtual machine, and I'm using exactly this machine, which is running on the same hypervisor. Okay, so to show you the network configuration, so it is actually identical configuration as on our chart. ETH0 is interface I'm accessing to, and then I have 3 bonds here. Actually on our chart we have bond 0, bond 1, and the replication is configured without bond, but in our case we have just created a bond. This is not a big difference. Okay, that's the first server, and then that's the second one. Sometimes this console takes time to show. Okay, it is coming. Okay, finally. So you see here is the IP address 0.61.161.261 and 5.61 for the replication. Okay, so let us switch to our console. And the first task will be adding to volume to our resource pool. So I will show you that in the resource pool on node A we have a one replication task and the one volume, and the same story is on the resource pool on node B. And node B is available or exported via virtual IP. So here, as I mentioned, I have one virtual IP only instead of two for multipath, so there will be no multipath here. 192.168.22.100. That's the node B resource pool, and resource pool on node A. When I click here, 192.168.21.100. Okay. Let me see if there is a question. No. Okay, so that was about some problem with audio. Okay, so we have now the first task for us will be to add a volume to the running cluster. Okay, I will show here the status. Everything is active, so the resource pool on node A is active on local node, means it is active on node A, and the resource pool, which is controlled now by node B, it is active on remote node, means it is active on node B. Okay, so let us go to volume replication to see the current configuration. So we have the one logical volume pair which is mirrored, and then the first pair which is assigned to resource pool on node A is a source here, and then the next volume it is source on node B, because on node A, which we are now, it is a destination. Okay, so now let us switch to node B and also go to volume replication. So we see that the first volume pair on node B is in destination mode, so the second one will be as a source on node B. As long as the tasks are started, so here when we scroll down we see our replication task. When the replication tasks are started, then there is no possibility to change this replication direction. Okay, so in order to change replication direction, I will need to stop the task, the mirroring task, temporarily, then change the replication and start on another node. I will show such a action soon when we will move the volumes between the resource pools. Okay, so let us create a small volume. So I will create now. I don't have a lot of space because this is a virtual environment, plenty machines, so it was only 20 gig for volume. For the, you see that it's 20 gig in every volume group here. My volume is just 5 gig and I have still 6 gig space. So let us create one more very small volume. Okay, so the iSCSI volume, of course. Just create a volume because target we will need to rename anyway, because node A and node B must have the same target name. And please don't forget about checking this use volume replication, because when you will forget it, then you can modify this later on, but in this case the initializing, the mirroring will be running when we will create both volumes with the volume replication from scratch. Then the initial mirroring will be not running, because then application knows that both volumes are identical. Okay, block IO, I will create very small, let's say 4 gig. So that's the volume on node B, and then I will go to node A and do the same. So I go on the VG00. Okay, same story. I'm selecting new iSCSI volume for volume replication as well, and the 4 gig. The size must be identical on the both sides. Okay. Once I have created volumes, then I need to switch to volume replication and set the replication direction, so the source destination. Both volumes are always created by default in source mode. You see the VG001, which is a second volume in the LV001, which is a second volume in first volume group. Show as source here. It's not gray because there is no task. When I go to B, okay, then on B we have also LV001, which is now the second volume in the first volume group. It's also showing source. So we need to switch to destination here. Okay, apply. Because all volumes in the resource pool on which is assigned to node A needs to be defined as a source on node A. Okay, so now I switch to node A, so DSSA, and now I'm ready to define the task. Okay, so that will be mirror uh, 0, 1, for example. Okay, I don't need to click refresh because the volumes is found already. I will leave 40. I was setting 50 megabytes per second the bandwidth, maximum limit bandwidth for the mirroring, but I have bonding, so potentially 2 gigabit Ethernet can give me even 200 megabytes per second. So still I have a space to add some more volumes. Important is that this total limit for volume cannot be bigger than your physical link between servers. So for example, when you use 10 gigabit Ethernet, which is recommended in such case for mirroring, then total you can think about all the volumes in total you can set, let's say 800 or 1000 megabyte per second. Okay, creating. So we will have now new task created. So M0, that was a mirror task for the first volume, and now we have M01, that's the mirror task for the second volume on the volume group 00, which is assigned to node A. So then let me start the task. We can observe the status of task starting in the status tasks. So we see the date, so the task is started already, and we must check whether the destination is consistent. It must be consistent, then both are in sync, so in mirrored modus. Now let us go to failover. Everything is running. I will show you the iSCSI initiator. It is connected to both targets so far, and then I have two drives. Okay, that's one drive, that's second drive. Okay, I can go to server manager as well. It is started, but somehow it is hanging. Let me see. I will try to end this task and start one more time. Okay, so we see that we have a one volume 5 gig and another volume 6 gig. Okay, so this 5 gig, it is a volume which is running as a resource pool on node A, and that's the volume which is running as a resource pool on node B. I didn't show it to you. When I go to volume groups and go to VG01, that's showing 6 gig. That was this is why, because I was already trying and testing this before the webinar, so I was creating first the 5 and I was expanding this to 6. So during webinar we will expand, let's say, to 7. Okay, so now it's the question, do I need to add this the new created volume to the new target, or can I use the same target? Okay, so when I have this target 0, which is assigned to resource pool on node A, I have option to add this to existing target. Okay, in order to add to the existing target, I need to go to configuration, iSCSI target manager, targets, select the first target, and in this case I will need to click on the plus in order to add this volume to the target, the just created 4 giga volume. Of course, I will need to copy the SCSI ID and then paste this SCSI ID on the node B that I have the identical settings. But there is also another option that I can create a new target and add this new target to the resource pool on node A, because we have a source on node A. So I need to create that identical target name. So here I can edit target name when I remove this checkbox, and I will just remove the server name from the target name. The rest I will leave unchanged. Okay, so now I create the target. It will get the alias target2. Alias means a small name which is using here internally on the GUI, that is the name is quite short, because that's the full IQN name. So IQN.2013-01 :target2. That's my target name. And then in parallel you have the this alias. Okay, so now it is created. Let me mark this SCSI ID and copy and plus. So now we are exporting this logical unit via this target. Same story on the node B. And now I will edit the target name. So when I remove the server name from the target name, then I will have the identical target name as on the node A. Now it's the same alias, so target2. And before exporting, I need to paste the SCSI ID. Okay, so I will mark this, paste, so the SCSI ID and then plus. So now I'm sure that all parameters are identical on both sides. So we have created the volumes, we have set the volume replication direction from A to B. We have exported both volumes under identical target name. And now let us go to the failover. Let's say I will go on A. I prefer always go to A. This really doesn't matter on which server actually you are. Okay, so now I'm on server A, and when I go to iSCSI resources on node A, okay, I can click on this add or remove targets. Okay, so you see the available target is a new one I just created, and I can move it and apply. Okay, so my iSCSI failover cluster is up and running all the time, and you see my volumes are available all the time. I have some data here on these both volumes. Okay, and now while my iSCSI cluster is running, I was adding using a free space a new target. So now you see I have in my resource pool on node A, I have the target 0. Okay, I have a target 2, and that's for the replication task M01 and M0. Okay, so this will be available under first virtual IP. Let us connect to this new volume. So when I go to iSCSI initiator, and when I refresh, I supposed to see new created target. Okay, so we have this target, and then we can connect. So now we are connected, and when I go to the data management, then we see we have a new volume, a new disk available, so we can just initialize the disk and let us format the disk. Okay. So we have a EG, and now we have a new disk available for us. Okay, so that was adding, and how removing will be very similar. We can just go to our resource pool, iSCSI resources, add or remove, and let's say we want to remove just added target. So I click on here and apply. So on this I'm having detected the iSCSI connection. I can force this, and actually this volume which I'm removing from the cluster will be still available over virtual IP, but we rather recommend to disconnect first. So in order to not waste a lot of time, because the timeouts are quite long, I will disconnect this. Okay, so I'm disconnecting. So now this target is disconnected, so now the volume also disappear at once. And let me remove one more time. So I'm removing target 2. Great, so our target is removed. We see that the both volumes which are running in the cluster are still available. There is no problem. I was able to add the volume, I was able to remove the volume. Let us switch such a volume between two resource pools. I can use already one of them, but I can use this new one again. Apply. Good, I will connect one more time. When I'm connecting, then again I'm see the volumes. I can even copy some data. Maybe copy. Paste. It's a very small file, just our image, software image. Okay. And so I have this directory 1 here, and I want to move this volume between two nodes. So I have this connected to node A, managed by node A, but I want to move to node B, okay, to another resource pool. So of course the very first thing, as I mentioned, we will need to disconnect this volume shortly, because this volume, it is exported via this virtual IP, and on node B it will be exported via this virtual IP, and we will need to, so that will be the problem, that the Windows will be not able to see it. If we'll somehow create a multipath that more paths will be so in multipath, let's say IP from the node A and node B will be available. In such case, probably it will work. But now when I have these single IPs and when I'm moving to another IP, initiator will be not able to find out. So this is why I will disconnect this single volume. If you have, let's say, important tasks running here, you will need to, let's say, virtual machine, let's say this can be also VMware, you will need to move or migrate the virtual machine temporarily to another volume, disconnect this volume, this single volume, and after moving you will need to make a motion again back to this volume. So I'm disconnecting now, and then after disconnecting I go to iSCSI resources, and I can click here, but I prefer this button. Okay, move to available, apply. So after removing from the resource pool, actually next task will be adding to another resource pool, but we need to remember that the replication direction in the resource pool is from A to B, so source is on A, and the replication direction on resource pool on B is the source on B. So we will need to change the replication direction. So let us go to volume replication. Otherwise, we will try to add, it will prompt us that the replication direction is wrong. Okay, so in order to change the replication direction, I need to stop this task temporarily. Stopping the task. Okay, now task is stopped because no start time, and now you see I can move it. So I move it to destination on node A, and I go to node B, and on node B I will move to source. Okay. So a small disadvantage is that now M01 I'm starting as a reverse task on node B. It is not a problem, but if you don't like it and you want to have the reverse task on another node, then you can delete the task and create the task one more time, and that will be probably even better. But I don't need to do it because I can start task on any side. So I'm starting the task now. Okay, it is started on node B. So now when I go to Failover Manager, actually I'm on node B right now. Okay, so the first listed will be node B in my resource pools. See, the first listed is a B and then A because I'm on node B right now. Okay, so I go to iSCSI resources and click on add. This target 2 is available right now because it is not assigned to any resource pool, and I'm assigning now to resource pool on node B. Okay, that's it. Let us go to iSCSI initiator. I will connect. I need to refresh. Then we can connect. I had to refresh because this target was assigned to another IP address, and after refresh it was finding this again on the new IP address. That was the reason. Okay, so now it is connected, and when I go to computer and I see my E, my F and my G, which was just one directory, and now it is running under second resource pool. Okay, next task we have today, it was expanding the logical volume to bigger size. Okay, so the new created volume we can expand, let's say, to 5 gig. In order to do it, again we will need to go to iSCSI Failover Manager, and we need to remove this volume from the resource pool. Okay, so I will go to iSCSI Initiator one more time, and then we can disconnect again. Then we can remove this volume from our resource pool. After removing this from resource pool, we need to stop and delete the replication task. So now it's 4 giga, we will change to, let's say, to 5 or to 6 giga. Okay, I go to B, I go to volume replication, and I stop this volume replication task. Okay, after stopping this, I need to delete this volume replication task. Why? Because in order to change the volume size, I will need to remove the volume replication metadata. So I can remove the volume replication metadata only when there is no replication task. So now I need to go to modify. Okay, and in modify we are just removing this. So what is changing? We are removing this 128 megabyte assigned to the volume as metadata, and I do it on the both sides. Okay, so iSCSI volume groups. Okay, modify. Oh, probably I remove wrong one. 0. Okay, something wrong. So modify 01. Okay, now we see that there is no more volume replication status here on 01. I do the same on node A. modify 01. Okay, remove it, apply. Somehow the volume replication task looks like was not deleted here, because I know why, because I was deleting reverse instead of deleting the main. Okay, so now I need to make sure that my volume replication task is deleted. I was even getting the prompt that okay, now I can do it finally. So modify 01, remove the volume replication metadata, and now it's a proper. The previous message was telling me that I have a volume replication task. Okay, so now having volume replication metadata removed, I can finally expand. So expanding this will be, again, modify. I will add, let's say, 1 gig, or maybe 1.5. 1.5. And also we will add the volume replication metadata. Okay, so apply, and the same on node B. So modify volume 01, use volume replication, and 1.5. So now instead of 4 giga, we'll have a 5.5 giga in our example. Great. This volume was recently on the node B, but we can move it back to node A. So now we can put the destination on node B. Okay, and put source on node A. It is already source. So we just need to create the volume replication task. Okay, apply or create. So we have it. Now let us check what's going on with target. So our target 2, we can, it is already there, but actually I need to prove whether I have everything the same. So 2p and 2p, everything is the same. So we see that's 5.5 now in this target, 5.5, yeah, because of changing. And now we can go to volume manager, and then we are interested to add this new bigger volume into a resource pool, and we need to add on A because we put the source on A. Okay, so now we're adding this, and that was the expanding the volume size. Stopped, it means my task is not started yet. Okay, so I go to volume replication and I need to start the replication task. Okay, so we are starting the task. Now when it's starting, I can already go to failover and then try to add Okay, you see here that the task is already there, but there is a syncing in progress. Why? Because when we removed the metadata, both volumes need to be resynced new from scratch. So this is why we see here that the destination is inconsistent, and we see that the whole 5.5 gig need to be replicated, and that's the time left. It is almost there. So as long as was not replicated, it was running in degraded, but after sync is in, both volumes are in sync, it will change to synced and then okay, and running okay. So we have a degraded mode while volumes are not in sync. Okay, now we have a cluster up and running, local node, remote node. The very first, very typical situation which may happen from time to time. Let's say we have a no uninterruptible power supply, and we just power off both at the same time. So my both machines are powered off. So what happened when I try to access? I will get the timeout. So it is just trying to connect, but of course it will be not able to connect because machine is just off. And in order not to waste time, I will power on these machines again, and then I will get timeout within few seconds. So now I have a timeout. Okay, I power on both machines. Power it on. Takes some time until it is powered on. Let me go to the console. So you see both are of course not answering. I will try to refresh, then of course I will have reconnecting, or unfortunately iSCSI initiator has a very long timeout, so it takes long time until it will show inactive or disconnected. We need to be patient. Anyway, we are still waiting for the both machines to power on. What our iSCSI initiator okay, we just need to wait. Still not there. It's almost there, okay. The first machine is already up and running. So let us check the volume replication status first. Okay, everything destination, and here everything is destination as well. Okay, so when we know that both machines were running, and then our home situation is the volume 0 and volume 01 source on node A, so I will just switch it, and I will also switch source on node B. I need to start the volume replication tasks. So M1 I'm starting on node B, and M0 and 01 starting on node A. Okay, we can check the status. Here we see these both failed during boot because volume was switched to destination, and then in the config it was active. So this is why we see that it was not possible to start. Now M0 is started already and is consistent, and M01 the same. So now we can start our failover cluster. Because it is stopped after power off. What happened with the reconnecting? Let us disconnect. When it's reconnecting and then cluster is started again, that we can get it connected because we didn't change any IP addresses or any setup. But I can disconnect again. At this point there is no targets, or now it's running okay, so targets should be exported right now. So when I click refresh, I see all the targets. I can connect. Okay, good. So that was one quite simple situation. Both volumes were both systems were disconnected from the power. Okay, now there will be a bit different situation. I will power off the second one. Okay, power off the second one. So when I power off, now of course the cluster will take over. So all the resources will be activated on node A. Let us wait a few seconds for the status. What is on the volumes? Here I have a directory number 4, here I have a 4, and here I have a 1. Okay, cluster is degraded because there is no sync, and now we have following situation that we are also powering off the first machine. Okay, both are powered off. It can happen as well. So now I can power on both machines. So both machines are starting again. So now we have a bit different situation. Of course, here when I try to access, I will get the timeout. We have a bit different situation. The failover happened before we stopped to have access to everything. Here I'm expecting that both machines will have the volume replication started and from the proper side. But let us see whether it happens, because it don't need to be this case. Few seconds more and then let us see what's going on the second one. Probably almost the same. Okay, so first machine is there, so we can go to our console and try to connect. And let us check the volume replication status at once. That's the most important thing now. Yeah, so 00 and 01 are in source mode. Okay. So, and then 0100 is here is in destination mode, and then here is in the source mode. The task was not started, okay, because this is probably M0 and 01 is started. M1 is not started, or is started. Let me see. So we can go to status and tasks. M1 is not started. So everything is on the source here, but we can have the situation that maybe now I have started everything in the proper direction. Let's say I was going and see the task viewer, and maybe I have found out the which was the latest system, because when I took failover on this, then I know everything was active on this. But I would like to see the situation when I'm doing this and I didn't know that everything was active on node A, and I was starting the volume replication in the different direction. That will be in the next test. Now I know that this volume belongs to resource pool B, so I need to stop it. So M1 I stop, and M1 I do start on node B. Okay. Of course, before I start, I need to change the volume replication direction. So here is a source, and here is a destination. Then I can start. I can also have a look here into the tasks status. Okay, it is started and it is consistent because I didn't copy the data by meantime. So now I will be able to start the cluster again. Okay, what we have on initiator, everything is connected, so let us wait until the cluster is started, then we can do refresh and reconnect if needed. Okay, it is connected, so it's running. Okay, let us refresh. Everything stay connected, all the disks are available. Okay, and then all the data are available. Okay, one more thing, you see this unallocated space. After expanding, we can just extend the volume. So now we have 5.5 giga volume. And last demo with the power off, I want to copy the data by meantime. So we want to show the following situation. We will stop again node B. I'm going to power off node B. Okay, the situation before power off node B was like this, that we had a volume 4 here on the E, volume F, it was also directory, and the volume G was directory number 1. Okay, now everything is running is node A. Okay, the volumes are of course available because of failover. So let me copy. Okay, so I copy and paste. So now the all changes are on node A only, because node B is just switch off. Okay, so we have the every directory which is there, we just have a copy, copy and paste. Okay, so we have a directory and a copy of this directory on all 3 volumes. So now let's say I'm going to reboot my system. I need to be sure that all the data which are written to the disk are really written to the disk. Okay, so because the Windows may have a problem because it's writing the data, let's say, every minute to the disk, so we can see this in a Explorer, but the data may be not really written to the disk. So when I do power off and have failover, then there is no such a problem. But now I have a single node, so and then I do restart. When I do power off, maybe it can be the problem that data will be inconsistent, and then we may have a big problem. But after a shorter time, the data is already there, and when I will restart, it is enough time to get this data consistent on my iSCSI volume. So I do restart now, and we remember that during the time the node B was off, we were just copying the data. Okay, so let us see what is the status. The first one will be restarting and the second is off. Okay, I can power on the second one already, so that will be starting, and I can see the console of the first one, which we are rebooting right now. So it is already loading after reboot. Okay, so after a minute we can go and try and fix the problem. So now of course there is a timeout because the systems are not started yet. Okay, takes 1 minute more. Again, I had a situation when the data were written to the single disk, single node, because the second was powered off, and data was probably really written to the disk, to this iSCSI volume. I was not powering off too early. Okay, the second probably is already there. Let me refresh the second. Second is already there because it was started a bit earlier. Okay, let us see what's going on in the volume replication right now. So I go to volume replication, and I should have everything in destination. Okay, and that's the case. And on this first one I should have everything in destination as well, because it was no information enough to start everything. Okay, we have everything in destination, and now we know that we have made the changes on node A and everything was source on node A. So actually we need to make the investigation and start all the source volume from the node A, replicate, and then stop the replication on the resource pool on node B, reverse the replication direction, start on the B, and then start the cluster. But let's say we do a mistake. We do this both source here. Actually we should do all, but we do this source. We think everything was at home, so we do this both on node A, and the third one we just go and say on node B as a source. Okay, so now M1 I'm starting in the wrong direction, means I was expecting that this volume was source before disaster, but this volume was not connected during disaster, and node A was connected during disaster. So now it is moving the data, moving the difference, because I was copying the data on node A. And there is exactly this something about 1 gig difference on both volumes, right? So between this time it is now both volumes are mirrored now. Okay, let us do the same. This time are for sure proper direction because they were active on A. Once the tasks are there, then we can see the replication progress. M0 already there, and of course it is replicating as well because I was copying this data, so it takes some few seconds. And the second one is also replicating, but here only 380 meg, so this takes few seconds. This is consistent already, and this one will take few seconds more, but by meantime it is consistent as well. Okay, so now let me start the cluster. So I'm starting the cluster. So please remember the first two volumes were, as actually all three volumes were active on node A, and then we made the changes on node A only. And the third volume, instead of starting replication from A to B, we just started at once from B to A. So we were actually replicating the older data over the new data. Okay, now cluster is up and running. Here there is an error, but okay, there is everything okay. So now these first two volumes are running on the local mode, and the second resource pool running on the second. Let us go to the iSCSI initiator, refresh. Let us go to volumes. Let us check everything is okay. We have 3 volumes E, F and G available, and let us go to check. On the volume E we have a 4 and a copy, and on a volume G is 1 and copy, that's and on node A, and that's on node F. And here this is a big surprise, we have the proper data. This is a really good surprise. Even we made a mistake, we made a wrong replication direction, the data were replicated properly, because our replication algorithm on the volume level will check the timestamp, and even the replication direction was wrong, then the newer data were replicated from A to B. But this can happen only when the data are consistent on both nodes, and in some situations it can be that the data on node A after disaster will be inconsistent, but the data on the B will be consistent. In such case you will copy older data over new data. So probably if you have no backup, then you probably will need to check the situation on both volumes separately before starting the volume replication. So that was the, but if everything goes well and you will not disconnect iSCSI volumes too early, and when you copy the data and Windows flash the data to the iSCSI volume or VMware already, then you can reboot the system, or you can reboot just one single node which is missing. In such case there will be no problem. One more thing which is belongs to today's webinar is a software update. With software update there is no problem at all. You can check for an update, but this is the latest version, so I can upload the same version over this version. So I can go and browse. In downloads I have already ISO, and I can upload here, and I can just after uploading I can just reboot the server, so the failover will happen and the second node will take over. Then you can do the same on the second node. So here are release nodes. Please read always the release nodes carefully, accept, and then you see that's the running version and that's the default version. That always the new version is the default afterwards. So now I'm ready to failover, so I can just go and shut down. I will just do restart, and during restart the second node will take over all resources. So you see local remote, but this will change. Everything will go to local on the node B. Sync, of course, it's not possible because node A is just rebooting, but the activity is on the local node. I can check that all the volumes are available without any problem, this time on node B. And after, now we wait for the node A to reboot, and by meantime we can already upload the ISO, always the same version. Okay, upload. Once the second is uploaded and the first is up and running, ready to accept. and again this one will be default. You can change this default. You can say I don't want to update, so then you can click here, and then the default is changing back to the running version, but of course I want to have a default the new version. Okay, this is a 0.1 because it's exactly the same build. Okay, so now I will check how far we are with a reboot of the first volume, over the first node. Okay, in progress. So of course we need to wait until the first one is there, and then we have two choices. We can just reboot the second one, and then during the reboot the failover will happen, or you can just manually go to failover manager, and in the failover manager you can move activity to the node A this time, because node A is rebooting. Okay, as long node A is not dead, or of course these buttons are gray, you cannot do it. Let us see the progress. Almost there. Okay, so the first one is up and running. Then we can, as I mentioned, now we have moved to remote node, so we can do it and reboot the second one with resources active on the first one, but that's also allowed. You can just restart, and during restart the first one will take over. After rebooting the second one, of course after new version we have always license agreement. Okay, and the failover status, then we'll see whether failover happened already or not. You see everything is in local node. We can check the availability of volumes. Of course there must be no problem. And then now the second is rebooting while second is back. Then we can move the resource pool on node B back to node B, and everything is up and running and our cluster is updated. Okay, let me check if there are any questions. So far I didn't see the questions, so I hope all this stuff is quite clear to you. Anyway, there will be option to see the video on our website, so I hope you will be able also successfully to repeat such tasks on your site. So thank you very much for today, for joining us today, and have a look on our website to see when is the next webinar. I'm inviting you already today to join us also on the next webinar, and have a nice day, and see you on here to you next time. So thank you very much. And see you soon.